Good evening to those bored enough to watch. Expanding upon a game through downloadable content has seen quite a comeuppance among modern games, whether it be for small things such as texture packs and whatnot, or with bigger things such as expansions to a game's story or map. DLCs have become quite prominent in the gaming industry, and they've settled in quite nicely at that, giving developers a nice opportunity to expand upon their work and giving players a good reason to return and experience something new in a game they once enjoyed. They're neat ideas when executed correctly, and many games have been able to serve as a testament to that. However, while they can be great additions, at times they are not used in the manner that makes them so enjoyable to players, and in this video I want to talk about that. So with that said, let's discuss DLCs and why they're neat ideas. DLCs on paper are really great ideas, as they add more to a game that may have already been enjoyable to play through, as well as allowing developers to go back and add to their work while giving players more reasons to develop a bond with their game and spend longer playing it too. Additionally, it may allow developers to focus on being able to implement things that they may have initially wanted to add but couldn't due to things like budgetary or time constraints, in which one of the many examples of that is that of Sonic Frontiers, with its third update which had released earlier this year, 2023 for those watching in the future, in September, in which I personally really enjoyed. I do wish that Sonic team was given enough time to properly implement this update into the game the first time, because it definitely would have been such an amazing thing to see alongside the rest of the game, and at times that's what DLCs are sometimes seen as, a way for developers to finish implementing the rest of what they couldn't the first time. In the case of Sonic Frontiers, we were lucky that the updates were free, but at times DLCs can be advertised as something new but in reality could end up being the rest of the game that they had planned. DLCs over time became a way to expand upon a game's world, whether that be through the maps, the stories, or the characters. Games like Marvel's Spider-Man and Sonic Frontiers used their DLCs as a way to expand upon their previous work, in which was done excellently. However, at times they're often abused as ways to just finish implementing things that they couldn't before, in which is a problem which exceeds just DLCs. At times, however, a game's base suffers because of plans to include DLCs, in which can be quite frustrating for players, whether this be in cases such as forcing the player to buy DLC to continue things such as the story and whatnot. An example of this is the Callisto Protocol, in which that game's story ended on a cliffhanger which will need to continue in the final Protocol DLC. I won't comment on that in itself simply because I haven't played it yet, but on the surface it certainly does seem off-putting that I need to pay to see the ending of the game's story. I mean, I already paid for the main game, why do I need to pay more to see how it ends? Continuing a game's story through DLC is something that should be handled delicately. There needs to be a reason to make the player want to pay for it, in which a good example of this is Bendy and the Ink Machine. This game, through its separate releases in terms of story, not only added new things but went back to older installments and improved upon things such as models, locations, and overall upgrading things to fit the quality of what was currently released at the time. Ultimately, Bendy and the Ink Machine was then changed to include the complete game when the final chapter was released, which goes to show how it handled its DLC quite well, giving new players an accessible and understandable way to play through the game while still satisfying older ones who bought the chapters per installment. In general, DLCs are great, but a lot of consideration and planning is required to fully understand what makes them so captivating to players. They should be expansions, not as a way to complete what you couldn't before, and this is why DLCs are neat ideas, only when they're executed correctly. So, there's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Writing this video took quite a bit longer because most of the things I talked about in the previous video were actually supposed to be in this video, but I separated the two because I deemed it best if they were their own videos. If you want to view the list of games I want to make videos about in the future, then you can always do so through the link in the description, as well as any afterthoughts or messages I may want to add. With that, I haven't really got much else I want to say, so I'll see you all in my next video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.